Hello and welcome to the final homework video in Chapter 2. So this is for the homework page 63, number 70 through 75. Let's begin. Problem 70 starts here. Find the earliest completion time and the critical paths for the order requirement digraphs below. Well, if you're in class, you should know the earliest completion time is the same as the critical path. So we just need to look at every path in the graph and determine which path is the longest, because it has to take at least as long to complete the task as the longest path in our digraph. So our path here is 16, 32, 37. It would be 10, 26, 31, 10, 19, 24, 11, 26, 31. So 16, 32, 37 is the critical path and the earliest completion time. So our earliest completion time for A is 37. I'll call them minutes, but these might be some other unit of time or something. And the critical path is T1, T4, T7. Good. Part B, we're going to compute the exact same thing looking at this graph down here. So this path up here would be 6, 17, 27, 35. This would be 5 and then those, which has got to be less than 6 and then those. So I also have 6, 17, 27, 38. So that is even longer. And then 5, 14, 14, 21, 34. Looking at these, I could go here, jump back up and down there. This critical path, T1, T3, T5, T8, is going to be the longest because it includes the 3 longest times in the entire thing, in the entire digraph. So it'll be T1, T3, T5, T8 is the critical path. T1, what was it? 3, T5, and T8. And then that time would be 6, 17, 27, 38. I'm calling them minutes. On to 71. The directions are the exact same, earliest completion time and critical paths for these digraphs. Good. Well, this one is simple. I just have to consider all of the digraphs. What's weird is notice this is feeding right and then going up. So everything feeds into task 2. I would have tried to draw this differently so that task 2 was our furthest to the right rather than where it is. But so I've got 3, 11, or I could go 7 has to be done, and so does 7 or T5, T3 and T5 both have to be done before this can begin. And before T5 I have to have T4 and T3. So my longest path is definitely going to be going around there. It's 7, 11, 18, 26 minutes. And it was T3, T4, T5, T2. T3, T4, T5, T2 was the critical path. For part B, everything is nice here going left to right. So, well, 6, 11, 21, 23, or 9, 17, 27, 29, or 6, 11, 11 and 7, oh my gosh, 18, or 10, 18, 28, 30, that's our longest so far. 10, 22, 28, and 10, 22, 29. Going up diagonally here, giving us 30, is going to be the critical path. So T3, T5, T7. And it has a wait of 30 minutes. And nothing here has told me their minutes. I'm just assuming Maybe they're hours or days or years or whatever. But 72. Construct an example of an order requirement diagram with two different critical paths. There are lots of ways you could do this. One would be I could have two tasks, each 1 minute, and they're independent of each other. That would be one way. I could even add another task. I could make it as long as I want, it doesn't matter, and both of these feed into it. I could do lots, an infinite number of things with this, but I just have to have my critical path, wherever it is, match another critical path. Then 73. In the order requirement diagram below, determine which tasks, if shortened, would reduce the earliest completion time and which would not. The ones that will are members of our critical path. The ones that won't are ones that are not. Then find the earliest completion time if T5 is reduced and to length 7, and what is the new critical path. So I have 10, 8, 10, or 10, 10, 10, 7, 10, 10, 9, 8, 10. It's going to be 10, 10, 10 is 30 minutes. So the earliest completion time, determine which tasks. So the tasks that would shorten, the tasks that would shorten are T1, T5, and T7. T1, T5, and T7. And all the rest would not. So then find the earliest completion time as T5 is reduced to length 7. So that would be 10, 7, and 10, which makes 27. 9 and 8 is 17, and 10 is 27. And 10, 8, and 10 is 28. So then my new critical path is T1, T4, T7. T1, T4, T7. And it has time 28 minutes. Originally this was 30 minutes. But remember, this is only our critical path because T5 was reduced to 7. Good. For the order requirement diagram in exercise 73, this same one, find the critical path and the tasks in the critical path whose time when reduced the least creates a new critical path. So the tasks in the critical path whose time when reduced the least gives us a new critical path, well, that is T5, and it has to be reduced by 3 minutes. If T7 was reduced by 3 minutes, or T1 was reduced by 3 minutes, the problem is, if you see, our new critical path had T1 and T7 as members of it. The only one that changed was T5. So that's because T5 is the one that, if I shorten it, it creates a new critical path. It could be worth noting that if this were an actual diagram and I were trying to reduce the time, T7 and T1 are where I want to reduce the time the most, because everything feeds into T7, and everything really has to begin with T1. Any critical paths I'm going to have are going to include those. So that's where I want to spend my energy trying to shorten the times. 74. How did I skip one? Oh no, that was 74. I just answered it looking at 73. Okay. Last question, 75. So, in order to build an addition on a house, so we're remodeling, the following tasks have to be completed, and we get the list. Construct a reasonable time estimates for these tasks and reasonable order requirement diagram. What is the fastest time they can be completed? Reasonable is going to be up to you because it all depends how much experience you have with these things, how reasonable your guesses are going to be. If this were an addition to a house and not a new house itself, I'll put my times in hours. You could put yours in days or something. I mean, really, you're just guessing because it all depends what you think is reasonable for this. To lay the foundation, I would expect for a remodel where we're just looking at adding on a room to a house, not building a whole new house. Laying the foundation might be about 4 hours. Erecting sidewalls, I mean, assuming nothing goes wrong and everything is hunky-dory, maybe we could erect all the walls in, let's say, 2 to 3 hours. I'll say 3 hours. Erecting the roof, maybe another 2 hours. Installing the plumbing, I have no experience at all with plumbing. Let's say installing the plumbing takes another 4 hours. Installing electric wiring, let's say 2 hours. Laying the tile flooring, let's say a full 8 hours. Obtaining permits, well, who knows how long you wait at the permit office. I'll say 2 hours. It could well be a lot longer. Putting in a door that connects the new room to the existing house, probably less than 2 hours, maybe an hour. Installing track lighting on the ceiling, could be an hour. And installing wall air conditioner, probably about an hour. Now in order to change this to a digraph, first I'm just going to try to order these things in terms of like, do they come near the beginning, middle, or end? Laying the foundation, I'll say, is near the beginning. Erecting the sidewalls is relatively near the beginning. Erecting the roof, still relatively near to the beginning. Plumbing, let's call middle. Electrical wiring, let's call the middle. Laying the tile flooring, that's getting towards finishing. I'll call it the end of the middle. Obtaining the permits has got to be probably the first thing you do. I'll say the beginning. Putting in the door that connects is going to be, I mean, you're probably going to cut out the hole for the door earlier on, but I'll call that ending. Installing track lighting is definitely going to be a finishing type of thing. Oh, maybe I should use finishing. Finishing. And then installing wall air conditioner is also going to be a finishing task. So now that I have reasonable estimates on times and I know about when things should come, good. I'll say we have to get permits before anything else. So permits was G, so I'll just call that task G. After we have permits, we can begin laying the foundation, but that definitely has to come before we erect the walls and the roof. So that was A was foundation, and it was 4 hours. Sidewalls have to come next, so that was 3 hours, and that was B, task B. And then the roof, I said 2 hours, and it was task C. Then I'm getting to middle tasks. I've got plumbing, wiring, and tile flooring all came next. Plumbing and wiring, let's just say plumbing and wiring both come next. Plumbing and wiring, I said respectively, were 4 and 2, and they were task D and E. Maybe I can fold this differently to give myself more space. Okay, so that was plumbing and wiring. After the plumbing and wiring, I can lay the tile flooring, so I'll just feed both of those back down into tile flooring, which I said was 8 hours, task F. Then after we have flooring, the last things I think are the door that connects, the track lighting, and the air conditioner. If you have people to do them, all those things could happen at once, so I'll just go out to them. So they were tasks H, I, and J, and respectively 2, 1, and 1 hour. This would be one type of reasonable digraph that you could put together. If yours doesn't look that much like mine, I'm not that worried. As long as it looks like a digraph, and you had times in there that you thought were reasonable and an order you thought were reasonable, maybe it looks something like that. Have a great day.